I'm Robbie Meehan and I'm a geologist, and I am a few miles east of Gort in the very southern part of County Galway in the Slieve Aughty Mountains, and I'm at Drummonacoosaun Bridge along the Bolineen-Dorish River. Back in the 1860s, when the Geological Survey were first mapping this part of the country, the geologist Henry Kinahan found, just up there past Drummonacoosaun Bridge, a pod of peat in a cliff at the base of a scarp. He noted it on the maps, and he noted that this could be a very important site. The site was then revisited in the 1930s by Professor Frank Mitchell of Trinity College, Anthony Farrington of the Geological Survey of Ireland, and also by the famous Danish botanist Knud Jessen, who was a pioneer in paleobotany, the study of historic vegetation during long past times. So they worked on the pod of peat, they excavated it and they examined it, and they looked at it under a microscope, and they looked at the pollen within the peat. And the vegetation were so different to what we have nowadays that they were able to be correlated with deposits in Britain and in Europe that are interglacial. Now, interglacial deposits are deposits that are similar to what would be deposited today in the climate now between glaciations. But those interglacial deposits from just beyond the bridge, they were from 2 interglacials ago, and that dates to between 352,000 and 438,000 years ago. Long, long past, way back in the geological history of Galway. Then in 1949, a borehole was completed at the site, and they bored through the peat and got a complete sequence of the peat strata and analysed the pollen in detail. And one of the aspects of peat that's very interesting and very important is that peat, because it accumulates at about 1 millimetre per year, year on year, it will hold in the pollen of all the vegetation in the environment around it. So that peat that they analysed millimetre by millimetre through the borehole core was actually a store, a record of how the vegetation during that interglacial, when there were no humans around that we know of in Ireland, actually developed. And a sequence whereby the climate went from cold into warmer and into warm and then back to cold was recorded throughout the sequence. So it's a very important site. It's our best record of the interglacial before last, and it's actually called the Gortian Interglacial because we're just a few miles from Gort, the town in South County Galway. So that's exceedingly important, and this site is protected as a county geological site because of the historical significance of it, but it also may be designated and recommended as a natural heritage area because it is so rare and so unique in this country. The site nowadays, if you go upstream from here, there's very little that can be seen because the cliff has actually slumped down and there's very dense, thick, jungle-like forestry around it, so it's even really hard to get to. But beneath the ground, underneath the slumped material, there may be a record there for future scientists to actually examine and to look at. So it's an important site. It's a very important part of Galway's geological heritage and of Ireland's geological and paleo-environmental past.